November 10th, 2015, and I just discovered that love is at the dead center of Fort Langley, composed of the two 27s no less, just like it is Christ, and love at the center of history. That is huge because Fort Langley is the birthplace of British Columbia. It is literally the root of Western Canada, and we just found love in it. It is November 10th, Tuesday, in Langley no less, at 6:14 p.m. just for historic purposes. And I was so excited about this. No less, folks, I kid you not, this came to me while I was just right outside the town hall in Langley, of the Township of Langley, the civic facility. I was just exiting, and it just popped into my mind, and I wrote it down. There it is. Fort Langley, with love at the center. So the L-A-N in the dead center. Dead center. It's perfectly flanked with four letters on left and right. The L-A-N is 27, half a love. And then that's perfectly flanked by T-G, which is another 27, half a love. And then you, as if that wasn't good enough, then the rest adds to 81, which is another love plus half a love. And you can easily find the two components. Okay? You take the, there's the L and the O, a half love, and then the F and the L and the E and the Y add to love exactly. So Fort Langley is love plus half a love. But it's where you find the love that is so glaringly obvious. And just for fun, this is written on the back of a note which I would deliver to newspaper customers. I insist on sharing with you the simplicity of my life for the glory of God. Wow, but look at that. So Fort Langley. Fort Langley, with love at the center. That is so huge because Fort Langley is the birthplace of BC. And I've preached on this before. When you come to visit Fort Langley, there are signs on the outskirts of town that say, "Welcome to Fort Langley, the birthplace of BC." And by Divine Ordinance, birthplace knits together with BC to divide by 3. You can also expand it to British Columbia, and that still divides by 3 by Divine Ordinance. And of course, welcome to is 111. So welcome to Fort Langley adds to the famous 192, which is 8 times 24, 8 times 888. And we've had a host of famous 8 times 888s this year that I've preached on already. A real obvious 3. Just go through all my videos, you'll get them all. But the winner of the Triple Crown in horse racing, it has not been done for decades, and it was done at the 147th Belmont Stakes, I believe, which divides by 3, and 147 is a sevenfold set of a sevenfold set of 3s, and the jockey's name is Victor Espinosa, which equals that number 8 times 888. And we had a host of others, but God will use everything. He does use everything to glorify himself. So, but Fort Langley, love at the center, flanked, just, this is my hometown. I was born in Langley, and I got the revelation the other day. This is all just amazing. So I was born in Langley Hospital, 1982, February 2nd, and I don't know what time. Now I want to find out details. But 02/02/82 at 2 a.m. Okay, and my goodness. The root of the word Langley comes from Thomas Langley. And you will discover that gem if you find a book which I was digging through called Place Names of British Columbia. Here it is. British Columbia place names. Right there. It's awesome. It tells you the origin and the story behind the name of every place in British Columbia. Any significant place, that is. That has a certain degree of significance. And so, here you can see for yourself, under Langley, the fort was named after Thomas Langley. Well, by Divine Ordinance, Thomas equals Langley. Goosebumps? Oh yeah, it's God's story and he's in control. So, God is in control divides by 3. Study that, you'll get more gems. But, and God is sovereign, okay. But Langley, so Thomas equals Langley. That's the root, and then the word fort was foreordained to come in front of that to perfectly make what you see with your eyes right here. Okay? So, God has been leading us to find love, the mathematical value of L-O-V-E, in all the names and places and people, the names of everything, and the words of everything in world history. And you find it in the dead center of the word history. Look at the word history, H-I-S-T-O-R-Y. S-T-O at the center equals 54 equals love. That is flanked by I-R, which is another 27, half of love. That is flanked by 33, which equals Amen. Love is at the center of Christ, okay? 27, 27, no less. It's at the center of highest office and a host of famous other ones. But this is so exciting because this is the birthplace of BC. It's my hometown. I was born here. I was born in Langley. But Fort Langley is, to this day, it is preserved historically. It's a National Historic Site. And it's well preserved. I mean, they still run active presentations in the fort, complete with characters that are dressed up from the past and activities and historic videos and teachings. And man, so can you find love in Fort Langley? Yeah, that's amazing. Love is at, we just hit a bullseye right in the center. Love is at the center of Fort Langley. And that is the root. There is only one root of any tree and any spreading. Well, Fort Langley is the root of all of British Columbia. Like anyone who lives here. Fort Langley was here first. It is the birthplace of BC. But then go to the center. Love, like when you're digging for the root, you always go to the center. Well, what is at the center of the word Fort Langley mathematically? Love. Love is at the center of Fort Langley. So that means love is at the center of British Columbia, which is the peoples that have populated this province and all of Western Canada. And God is at the center of everything. God equals love. Huge revelation. As far as I know, I am the only person on planet Earth to know this information as I stand here right now. And like I say, it is Tuesday, November 10th. Okay? And at 6:21 p.m. I stand in a coach house at 7140 199th Street, Fort Langley. And then you can solve the rest of that text. Welcome to Fort Langley, the birthplace of BC. Amazingly, I think this gem popped into my mind because I was informed that my dad, Burke, is planning on going to a Remembrance Day ceremony at Fort Langley tomorrow. Tomorrow is Remembrance Day, November 11th. And so, Fort Langley, the birthplace of BC. That is huge. So, and then, man, love in the center of Fort Langley. But the fact that you can find 27 plus 27 plus 27 plus love, like it's, what else will you find? I mean, the number of letters is 11, and 11 in text in 6 letters, E-L-E-V-N, divides by 3, and 11 boils down to 3 by the law of prime. 11 is the 5th prime, 5 is the 3rd prime. Triune God. I'm just counting the number of strokes here. The number of strokes in Fort is 9, 3 times 3. How about Langley? Not quite. But that's because Langley knits together with tons of stuff in this whole region. Like, it's crazy, but 9, 15, 18, 20, 29. Interesting. So, for example, if you were to say Fort Langley's, that's 30 strokes. But let's just, by way of quick review, let's just look up this story behind the name Langley. Yeah. Langley. 2 neighboring municipalities, the city of Langley, 2006, population 23,000, and the township of Langley use this name. They trace their beginnings to Fort Langley, which was built in 1827. Aha! 1827 divides by 3. The digits add to 18. That's a glaring one. I mean, 18 is double 9, and 27 is triple 9. And love is, a double of triple 9. It's 1827. It's a perfect number. I mean, the center of Fort Langley is 2727. What year was it built in? 1827. Double nine, triple nine. Okay, so let's get this straight. The center of Fort Langley is 2727. The year it was founded in, or let's say it in nines, triple nine, triple nine. The year it was founded in is double nine, triple nine. Why? Because the story belongs to God. The story belongs to God. It's God's story. And, you know, it's His story. And this is how good He is. And this is how perfect He is. And it's when you let go of your own life and your own pursuits and your own desires and seek Him, He'll show you the story. He'll tell you it all. You live for the glory of His name, not your own. Okay, so they trace their beginnings to Fort Langley, which was built in 1827 as a Hudson's Bay company. Hudson is an obvious 3 fest. And in fact, Hudson is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And you can find it, and then you can solve where the word Hudson came from and who that was after. And you're just getting into the symphony of God. It was built in 1827 as Hudson's Bay Company. But, okay. Trading post. Buy equals sell equals trade. Along the south bank of the Fraser River, about 30 kilometers east of present-day downtown Surrey. The site was abandoned and a new Fort Langley was built. Oh yeah, so there was an original, this is, oh man. It's amazing how God always has 1-2 punches on all of these things, especially big gems. Like there were 2 sites of Fort Langley. And to this day, the area of the original site is called Derby Reach. Well, can you find love in Derby Reach? Yeah, Derby equals love. And in particular, it's called Derby Reach Provincial Park, and that all knits together. You're just like, Derby equals love, like bang on the nose, and it's in order, like 9, double 9, triple 9, DE 9, R double 9, BY triple 9. Derby equals love. You know, and other gems in that area. It's literally a treasure hunt, like a gold mine. You're like, okay, once you're hot on the trail with Fort Langley, what else is around here? You found gold in this vein. Scoop up the nuggets beside it. Okay. The site was abandoned and a new Fort Langley was built. So, and the word new divides by 3, so new Fort Langley, if you will, was built 5 kilometers upstream in 1839. You're joking. That number divides by 3. So the original fort was 1827. The next fort comes 12 years later. So the number on that one divides by 3. I'm telling you. God's story, foreordained. Rejoice. The fort, now this is so cool, the fort was named after Thomas Langley. So, whether they named it Fort Thomas or Fort Langley, it would have equaled the same thing. 3 times 3 times 3 times the third prime, because Thomas equals Langley. So was Thomas Langley foreordained to be the root of the name Langley? Yes, Thomas equals Langley. It's a 1-2 punch. God always confirms these things. So what you have to understand is these people were graced by God to do what they did and enjoy it. If there's one thing we underestimate as humans, if we're not mature, it's how unique everyone else is and what they love to do is by God's design. And what they love to do is probably what God made them to do. And He has a place for them in His story, and you're just like, okay, Thomas Langley had different gifts than I do today, but he was meant to have those gifts for that time. Okay, so the fort was named after Thomas Langley, a director of the Hudson's Bay Company, and over time, I just love trying to solve, like, it's so fun to just solve more stuff. And over time, a village by the same name grew around it. Okay. Another settlement called Langley, which is where I stand right now, and where I was born and where I live, called Langley, was established 10 kilometers to the south. In 1873, the entire area, including that's many years later, these two communities was incorporated as a district municipality called the Township of Langley. By the way, I just came from, no joke folks, like this is all so divine. I'm recording details because what did God ordain in my life today that glorifies all this revelation coming at this moment? I'll tell you where I was when I got this solution for Fort Langley with the love like this in the center. I was at the gym, okay, inside the civic facility, which is the Township of Langley headquarters. That's pretty awesome, okay? And of course, gym divides by 3, and new gym divides by 3, and it was at that place yesterday that I was reminded of the dogwood flower as the symbol of Langley. It's on the crest. Everywhere, the Township of Langley, everywhere they stamp the crest of Langley and say established 1873. The crest is got 2 dogwood flowers, and then there's 3 blue waves on a white background in each other quadrant to symbolize the ocean. But dogwood flower is triple love exactly. It's love plus love plus love. Dogwood flower. And there's 6 petals on it, 3 plus 3. It's really obvious. Okay, it's really glaring. Once you're awakened to all this, you're like, whoa, this is smoking hot. So much so that there's a statue, a beautiful work of art, on a horse that is stapled to the concrete, like bolted into the concrete right outside the town hall. It's mostly white, but it's covered in these dogwood flowers and the names of the sub-communities that we have today as a part of the Township of Langley. Okay, and as an added bonus for you, the word white equals horse. White equals horse equals mantle. Jesus comes back on a white horse wearing a white mantle. Okay, white equals horse equals mantle. But there's dogwood flowers all over it to celebrate just what God has ordained, the symbol of Langley, dogwood flower, triple love. And there's the names of the communities there. Okay, so let's go on. A small portion of the western side of the township that was its trade and service center was split off in 1955 and incorporated as the city of Langley in 1955. The neighborhood near the old Hudson's Bay Company fort is still known as Fort Langley. So do you see how the best juice was in the deepest roots? Do you see how we got our greatest satisfaction and the most stunning, obvious numbers, if you will, right at the root, right at the source, the first of the first. When no one else was around, when no one else was coming along and partying and having the easy life of, merchandising or whatever, Thomas Langley was there on the frontier, in hardship probably, with his fellow men, trying to establish a settlement, for others to follow. God gave the grace to everyone. It's just grace, okay? Chances are he was happy. Okay, so there you go. Named after Thomas Langley. And now that you see that Thomas equals Langley, you're like, okay, well, like what other like parallels do I see mathematically between the word Thomas and the word Langley? You're just like, you can squeeze out even more glory out of all this. Knit the 2 words together. Like, I see some stunning things if you like, whoa, this is crazy. This is really crazy. Take the letters of Thomas, okay, like Scrabble tiles. Put them on top of the letters for Langley. And notice how many 27s there are. Like, which is half love. TG, half a love. LO, half a love. MN, half a love. And then you can go HS, half a love. AAY, half a love. Using all the letters in the name Thomas Langley, I've just quoted like a stunning number of 27s. In fact, let's do that again. And I will mark this here. TG, half a love. Let's do it on the board. There's so much good stuff on here. I honestly don't want to, but we will just. I'll stack them. Okay. So TG, 27, half a love. MN, 27, half a love. LO, the first 2 letters of love, half a love. That's 3 27s already. And then SH, half a love. And then AAY, half a love. 5. That is disturbing. Okay? So, that is an awesome number of 27s in Thomas Langley. By the way, just for fun, just so happens that Disney equals Langley equals Thomas. And Disney, truth be told, is, I do like some of the things of Disney, like the love-centeredness of Disneyland. And I can preach on, like the Walt Disney's full birth name is 201, and then when you write Walt Disney as he did on all of his comic strips, this is so amazing. Just a quick tangent from what I learned yesterday. Walt Disney would actually have all of his comic strip artists. He never drew a single comic strip, but he would have every single one of the artists for him stamp his signature Walt Disney on all the comics that they drew. And why did that happen? Well, because Walt Disney's chain links, it's doubly chain linked with 3s and doubly bookended with 3s. Look at Walt Disney. Take out your pen, write Walt Disney on a piece of paper, and you get a multiple 3 between the inner 2 letters, then the next ones, and then the bookends, WY, and then the A and the E, and then the S and the N left over in the center of Disney equal 33. By divine ordinance, the glory of the Triune God, who is love and has given us everything. Okay. And then I encourage you to find the mathematical value of love in Walt Disney's full birth name, in Disneyland, and Ellen. So Langley, that's so cool. So Fort Langley. That is incredible. That love is at the center of Fort Langley. And then you start taking, there's a lot of, and then I encourage you to take a field trip, which divides by 3 9 letters, out to the fort and treasure hunt around there and scoop up some obvious words. Like fur trade, both words divided by 3. Trade equals buy equals sell equals 48. And salmon equals Jesus equals Messiah equals gospel equals cross equals the king equals energy. It's like that's how Jesus takes the glory for salmon. It's like, well, the natives who lived here, which are now called the Stolo. This story is so crazy. The natives who lived in the Fort Langley area and then in BC, before Thomas Langley and crew came along, they are to this day called the Stolo, S-T-O-L-O. Well, that's too perfect, because Sto equals love and L-O is half love. In fact, Sto is the 3 letters at the center of history, and L-O is the first 2 letters of love. So Stolo is love plus half love, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's what God has ordained to be the reference name for the First Nations people of West Coast BC. Big gem. It was them. They traded with, the incoming European crowd, and salmon. They would give salmon to the people at Fort Langley, and the people at Fort Langley would give furs in return. It was like a fur salmon fest, but Fort Langley. Wow. And then I believe, wait for it. Yeah, National Historic Site divides by 3 in 3 words. And then so National Historic Site of Canada all divides by 3. So Fort Langley is a National Historic Site. What does that mean? Why should that attract you? Why should you visit National Historic Sites? This is important for all of our children that are being educated in schools. Why? What is the purpose? What is the fun? Why should you go to a National Historic Site? What is the purpose? Okay. You will see the glory of God. Okay. If you understand that He is sovereign, this is His story of which you are a part, but He takes the glory for everything in world history using numbers. Everything has a name, and every name has a number. And if you study it properly and patiently and long enough, together with God in prayer, He will reveal to you the beauty and the perfection of it all, and it's all for love. because God is love. Okay? And that will inspire our youngins to live lives of love. Okay? So, for example, when you go to Fort Langley, you'll see a statue, a very prominent, famous statue, out in the front of the lawn. Well, it has a plaque, and that statue is of someone with a name. Okay? I'll give you a hint. There's a whole lot of Jameses in this story. Well, James is 24888 plus 24888. It's one of God's favorite English names to glorify himself in world history. And George is another one, which is 888 by the law of prime. Just like, okay. It was this morning, actually, that I got a ton of words regarding what the goal is. The goal is divides by 3. People, the goal is this, the goal is that. The goal is divides by 3. The purpose is divides by 3. The end is. The point is. Okay? The target is. The aim is. The prize is. I wrote them all on a list. I shared briefly the other day. I'll read them for you again. In 3 words, all these statements divide by 3. People are asking, the goal is, the end is, the purpose is, the finish is, the hope is, the point is, the result is, the outcome is, the target is, the aim is, the prize is. What are we shooting for? What is God up to? What is all this down here, and why is it all here? And what and who is God? God is love. And when you find the mathematical value of love in everything in world history, that's how you do it. That's how you see the glory of God. Okay? He's 3 persons. God the Father, Jesus Christ the Son, and the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost equals love plus love plus love. He's the Spirit of truth. He will guide you into all things. Okay. So, Fort Langley equals love plus half love. Boy, now don't you want to come and visit this gold mine, Fort Langley? And I've called Langley Numbers Land for a while now. It really is, folks. I am shocked at what God is doing in this town for the number 3. Like, it is amazing. Folks, I kid you not. It is. Like, what God is doing in Langley for the number 3 is so ridiculously glaring. I'm just stupefied all the time. I kid you not, there is a massive, beautiful condominium complex, a subdivision, right across from the main shopping center with the Walmart, the Save On Foods, and London Drugs, and a bunch of other stores. Right there, it's called Elements, which equals 93. And there's a ton of housing developments that are being built as I speak right now in Langley, whose names for the housing development all divide by 3, and many of them I pass daily. Okay, like on my way to and fro delivering newspapers. There's one called Yale Block, YALEBLOC. That's like screaming out love. YB, half love, LO, half love, and then you got another 18 plus 3 on top. You're just like, boom. There's another one called Keaton, KEATON. The central mall in town is called Willowbrook Shopping Center. In 3 words, that divides by 3. It is housed in a larger business park called Willowbrook Park, and Willowbrook Park divides by 3. And, best of all, the signs for these places are triangles that have the name 3 times on all sides. Come yourself to the center of Langley, and you'll see the triangular sign on the corner of 200th and Route 10. Willowbrook Shopping Center. 1, 2, 3. One of my favorites that I've had a number of revelations in is the brand, relatively new, a couple years only, Cactus Club Cafe, right across the corner. CCC, that adds to 120 perfectly. That place I've had gems in, and I've preached on them on video. You know, even the bank that I use is a giant C. That's its logo, C, for Coast Capital Savings. It's like, what more can happen for the number 3 in this town than what is happening? I mean, if I took a drive with you around all the new housing complexes in the local area and pointed out the names of all of them, you'd be like, okay, this is a giant three fest. Oh my. But Fort Langley equals. So yeah, now it feels like you want to come visit the Fort Langley National Historic Site and scoop up some more gold, scoop up some more gems. It's really fun to do in 3D. You're just walking around in the real world, and oh, there's a statue. Oh man, it's a piece of God's story. It's of a person that's important in the story. So let's go read the plaque on the statue and check the numbers, and oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, and you'll be saying that all day long. And they'll be like, oh, we got to scavenge this whole area, like kids at an Easter egg hunt. We're like, well, we haven't checked over there. We haven't done the math on that corner there. Here, just send those 3 students over to that corner. See what you find. And then you guys go over there, and then, you know, it's like, what were all the goods traded in at the fort? Well, barrels. Well, barrels divides by 3. And it's like really loaded. It's like, it's so. Fort Langley. So that is so huge because it's the root of British Columbia. And if you take the glory for the root, you take the glory for the whole tree. There are many branches and many leaves, but only one root. And that root is Fort Langley. And at the center of that root is none other than love. Exactly. At the center of that root is none other than love to the glory of God, and it's flanked plus love plus half love. It's so cool. The more you look, the more you see for the number 3. Like the love at the center is flanked in 3 letters to the left and 3 letters to the right. You're just like, Fort Langley. And love is at the center of Christ in history. So the root is the center of the plant. Okay. So if Fort Langley is the center of British Columbia, and love is at the center of Fort Langley, wrapped neatly in love plus half a love, what do you think this whole story is about? And who do you think this whole story belongs to? The Triune God, who is love. God is equals 54 equals love, equals sun, equals breath, equals health, equals a host of other famous 54s in the story of God. That felt good. By the way, you must do an analysis of yourself on the words oxygen, breath, and nostrils. And you will discover that all 3 of those words have equal teams of 3s in the hopscotch effect. Take every second letter, put them on the same team, you will end up getting 2 equal teams that both divide by 3. In oxygen, it's 45-45. In breath, it's 27-27. And in nostrils, I believe it's 63-63. By divine ordinance, to the glory of the Triune God. He speaks your language. God speaks your language. Isn't that cool? Okay, so I just feel so satisfied. I'm like, we just saw Fort Langley right on the nose. So the question everyone wants to know is, can you find love in Fort Langley? Oh yes, you can. We just did, but come out here and find more for yourself. And feel the love of the people when you're in that place. And okay, God's love is constant. It's like the sun itself has to be a perfect distance from us at all times in order for us to be happy. Okay. I mean, love equals breath, for crying out loud. Okay, and of course we breathe oxygen, element, 8 protons, 8 neutrons, 8 electrons, to the glory of Jesus equals 8 at 8 in Greek, and so love equals 8 in Hebrew. Okay. So, Fort Langley. Oh man. And then we used to say, visit the fort. And then all these phrases in my past and in my memory and on the lips of men that are common. Visit the fort. Well, visit the fort, plain and simple, divides by 3. Of course, that's a famous phrase. It applies to forts all over the world. Hey, let's go visit the fort. You know, let's take a trip into the past. Visit the fort. It's like, there's a lovely 12 letters, you know, divides by 3. Visit the 4. It's amazing to me. It's amazing. You can go into the past. You know, the natives. You know, natives of any region. Natives divides by 3. You just study it more. You dig up Stolo is my favorite. Love plus half love. So glaringly obvious, but you can get into more of the names behind this. You know, it's like, and then, oh, another gem I got today is that Canadians equals happy. Indian divides by 3. Okay, and so we call them native Indians. Isn't that cool? There it is. Natives divides by 3. Indian divides by 3. Native Indians divides by 3. Perfect. Canadians equals happy equals blessed. So it just proved mathematically that Canadians are happy. Canadians equals happy equals blessed equals family. Equals sugar equals wedding equals woman, all these other famous 66s. It's so cool. I love the words. So Canada is 24 triple 8 divided by 3. Canadian is 47, the 15th prime, which is 3 times the third prime, 3 again. Any way you say it, Canada, Canadian, or Canadians, it screams out 3. Starting with C, which is 3. Containing 3 A's, 1, 2, 3. You're just like, this country is the king of 3s. Okay, we know unity. We know unity. We need to know God more. Okay, truth unites people. Lies divide us. It's when some people are believing lies that we can't get along. Okay, so I've taken a trip into the past. Now that we're just Fort Langley, the birthplace of the sea, just take a magic carpet ride into the past of Fort Langley. A fur trader, divides by 3 in 9 letters. You just what else would come to mind? An obvious one is every smith. If you go to, I remember as a kid, the favorite thing to do when you went to Fort Langley was get a black nail from the blacksmith. And you would just smell the metal and the ashes, and you were like, and the flame, and you were just like, oh, I just want to go visit the blacksmith at the Fort Langley. But this is a real obvious one. I mean, smith equals Jehovah. Really obvious. Smith, pairwise 3s from the inside out, just like Jehovah's name. Okay? And the word smith, so famous. But it's blacksmiths, plural, that divides by 3. Very obviously. Because the B at the front gets married with the S on the end to make 21, and the rest of the word black equals half love perfectly, 27. Genius. Okay? So blacksmiths equals mathematician. Okay? So always check the plural. Okay? Because God himself is 3 persons. That's why there's plurality of everything down here. It's like back in the day, there wasn't just one blacksmith at Fort Langley, there were multiple blacksmiths. Fathers and sons being the most obvious example. And of course the word smith was the common ending to metalworkers of all sorts, like a goldsmith, a silversmith. I could be referred to as a wordsmith, someone who cuts and dices and arranges words into beautiful perfection. That's a wordsmith. That's my personal favorite. Words are king. Word equals diamond. So if you're a wordsmith, you're a diamond smith. Because words last forever. Diamonds are forever, Okay, so you just, and then you can solve like the items that the blacksmiths used, and like fire. It's pretty awesome. It's fascinating, like wrought iron. Okay, and like fire plus bellows divides by 3. Why do you have bellows? Well, for fire. And I'm just giving you the obvious, but when you study it more, you're just like, oh my goodness, there's 3 letters in fire that divides by 3, the first 3. Then there's 3 letters in bellows that divides by 3, the dead center. And then the E plus the BE between them make 12 perfectly in 3 letters. And then you got the WS on the end, which is 42. Put that together, oh my goodness, fire plus bellows. All the letters that don't divide by 3 equal love perfectly. How do people do that love sign when they're on the soccer pitch? Everyone's always doing this these days. Well, it's signs. God is preparing people for this revelation that it's all about love. And find the mathematical value of love in everything in world history. So bellows. The bellows plus the fire. You're just like, oh my goodness. It adds up perfectly. All the letters that don't divide by 3 equal love. And then you got a half love in fire, IR, and then you got 30 points on top of that. So the whole thing adds perfectly to 111. Fire plus bellows. Blacksmith. Stoking the fire. You're just like, bring it on. I want to see some metal. You're just like, and of course, like all of these primitive, metal and wood both divide by 3. I believe they differ by 3, in fact. Or no, they're perfectly balanced on either side of love. It's really cool. So if you put metal plus wood together, so cool. If you put metal plus wood together, as most of the objects in history, like forts, metal plus wood, barrels, metal plus wood, you have the metal rims and the metal wrappers around the wood walls and tops. Metal, 18 plus 21 plus 12 equals 51. That's 3 points less than love. Wood, 57. That's 3 points higher than love. Metal plus wood adds to love plus love perfectly in 9 letters. And then study it more, you'll just be like, whoa, look at the correlations between all letters. Like, there's 3 letters that divide by 3. Of those 3 times 3 letters, and metal plus wood. Was metal ordained to go with wood? Yeah, just ask the shipbuilders. And you're just like, and then shipbuilder divides by 3. It's like, yeah, some people were called to be shipbuilders. Masons divides by 3, just like blacksmiths. S's are like wild cards. The plurality of things is everywhere. Oh yeah, I love this. And then the women and children. That was a gem I got from the Lord one day. We did the math on the famous phrase, women and children. And it was stunning. I believe it was triple love perfectly. The famous phrase, women and children. Just a famous phrase. Massively in the story of God. It's like, can you find love in the women and children? Yeah. But by divine ordinance, the letters add perfectly to triple love, I believe. Do it for yourself, women and children. Maybe put the word God in front. And I love going back into the past and Fort Langley, the village, and people working together and like pushing the frontier forward. Frontier divides by 3. It's one of my favorite words. Can you find love on the frontier? Oh yeah, it's loaded. 3 letters that don't divide by 3. Individually make 10 plus the O is love. And then you've got an R and an I in there, another half love, and you got another 24 bookends. It's like frontier. Oh man. And yes, Davy Crockett divides by 3. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. You just solving everything. In fact, Davy Crockett is disturbing. It's triply bookended. Triply bookended to make 3s. DT, extreme bookends. AT, second in. VE, 3s, 3 times 3 times 3. And then, in fact, Davy Crockett is so embarrassing. Are you kidding me? Davy Crockett is insane. Like, folks, in all manner of usage, fact or fiction, I mean, there have been plays and fictitious and fun things that have been done with the name Davy Crockett. But why in the world do most of us know the name Davy Crockett as being some kind of wilderness frontiersman character? Look at this name. Davy Crockett. This is insane. Now, I'm not exactly sure if there's a second C in there, but I think there is. But look it's quadruply chain linked. The D and the T, okay, I'm just going to make some room to show this off. The D and the T make 24, multiple of 3. Then next comes the D and the A, which make 21, 3 points less. And then the V and the E make 27, which is 3 points higher than the original one. So we're averaging 24. And then the Y and the K knit together make 36. And then lo and behold, the 4 center letters all divide by 3 individually. You've got to be kidding me. So technically, and perfectly, you might as well just put these two C's on the same team and the two ROs on the same team, and you've got pairwise threes in 6 teams of paired letters from the inside out in Davy Crockett. Let's get a zoom in on Davy Crockett. Apparently, look at that, for the glory of the Trinity. There's Davy Crockett. I'm very aware that we just solved Davy Crockett to the glory of the Triune God and all usages of the name. You know, this was a popular character in Disney's day. I mean, this was big deal. You read the Disney story and how Davy Crockett just was through the roof. They were selling Davy Crockett merchandise like crazy. Folks, there are people who are alive today, most of them probably seniors and baby boomers, that were a part of the Davy Crockett craze. When there was Davy Crockett merchandise like being sold in America like you wouldn't believe. And everyone was, all the boys were walking around with a pretend rifle and like a coonskin hat, and everyone just wanted to like be like Davy Crockett and like, you know, go into the forest and bring a little gun and stuff like that. Story of God, act of love. Isn't that cool? But the stunning beauty of it all is just insane. Davy Crockett. In 4 plus 4 plus 4 letters in an obvious fourfold section, pairwise threes from the inside out, just like the name Jehovah. What does this whole glory fest come to? It just occurred to me that I just solved Davy Crockett. There was 72 there, plus 36. Oh my goodness, this just keeps getting better and better and better. These 4 teams, which are the letters that don't divide by 3 individually on the outside, add perfectly to love plus love. 108, which equals worship. Just bam. And then here we have, I believe, 39. 39 on top of that. The whole thing adds perfectly to 147, which is 7 times 7 times, don't wait for it, 3. A sevenfold set of a sevenfold set of 3s. 7 times 21. 7 is the number of a set of like things. It glorifies what it's multiplied by. When you have a sevenfold set of 3s, 21, that's king. But when you have a sevenfold set of 3s, you're just like somewhere up in the universe and no one will touch you. Okay, so that's Davy Crockett to the glory of the Triune God in stunning beauty, no less. Stunning beauty. And then find the value of love in Davy Crockett. Well, one of the coolest things is that the 2 letters on the end of love, the VE, are in the 3rd position in and the 3rd position back to make 27 exact. Okay? And then you can go, my goodness. Okay, now that was 36 plus. Oh my! And then take the Y and the K and the R to make love perfectly. So we got love plus half a love, like circled there. And then, wow, a T and a D and a C to make another half a love. So we've already found, wait a second, maybe my first, hold the phone. I just want to make sure all my numbers are correct here. Let's choose this C here. So we've got, I just want to make sure. So that was half a love. And then this is love. And this is another half love. So sorry, we found, 108. Yeah, so I've already found 2 loves. And then what's left over is obviously 21 plus 18, the 39. In very nicely balanced positions. So we just found love in Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. Man, don't you just want to like blast into the past and just be like, what else will we see for God's glory? Now, frontier divides by 3 just like wild. Just like the. So, can you find love in the wild frontier? Absolutely. Some people lived back there. And some people still live there. There are actors in Disneyland that won't leave Adventureland and Frontierland as I speak. There are actors out here in Fort Langley that will not leave the past. They're like, I'll be a blacksmith in this fort till I go to the grave. Oh my goodness, I can't resist. Frontiers. Okay, so wild I have memorized is 48. And so when you say the wild, that's 81, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Which interestingly equals toilet. So can you find a toilet in the wild? Sometimes people can't. Anyways, sorry. Frontier. Frontier is love plus wild frontier. we got your love in NTEO, plus half love plus 27. So that was 81 plus, it was 105. Okay, so wild frontier is 153, the number of fishes Jesus ordained his disciples to catch. The third time he appeared after his resurrection. Add the word the if you want. 76, wild frontier. And a coonskin hat divides by 3. I remember solving that one earlier. And a coonskin cap divides by 3. Folks, I kid you not. If you get the data on this story of Davy Crockett and how many coonskin caps or hats were sold in the Davy Crockett craze in America, it'll just blow your mind. You'll just be like, this was a God story. Like, this was incredible. But do the math yourself. I like coonskin cap because you get the 2 C's, which equals 3. A coonskin cap divides by 3 beautifully and stunningly. The way I checked it in my mind is you got the N, and then on hat you got the T on the end. Or the AP on the end cap. You know. There, and folks, there is, all right, okay. There it is. There it is, folks. There it is. Davy Crockett. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a marksman. In fact, marksman divides by 3. You know, incredible. Incredible. Okay. I mean, just make sure you're obeying the commands of Jesus, you know, with that gun. It's like, sure, I mean, you can be a marksman, like the people at the Olympics and stuff like that, and, you know, obviously the Bible says we're allowed to eat meat. That means we're allowed to hunt. It's like, that's pretty obvious. It's like, so the word gun divides by 3, just like the word bullet in 3 and 6 letters respectively. And the root of the word rifle is 4 letters that all divide by 3.